this is Janet Morena, Executive Director of Priests for Life. And of course, abortion's in the news, abortion's on the ballot, and somehow the Democratic Party wants us to believe that abortion is only happening, in the first trimester. And we keep saying, no, 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 no. Abortion happens in the 7th, 8th, and 9th month of pregnancy. Healthy babies, healthy mothers. That's what happens here in the United States of America, because that's what these ballot initiatives are doing. They're allowing and putting into the Constitution abortion through all 9 months of pregnancy. So, brothers and sisters, it's time to hear some stories, don't you think? And guess what? Joining me today is an abortion survivor. That's right, a woman who survived her mother's abortion. So joining with me is abortion survivor from Montana, Robin Sertell. Robin, welcome to the program.
Thanks so much for having me, Janet.
So Robin, some people don't understand what an abortion survivor is. We know there's a whole network of them out there. They have websites, and more people are coming forward to say, hey, my mother tried to abort me. I was in the abortion clinic and this happened and this happened. And then later I found out. Now, some of those babies are later adopted, but some, like in your case, your mother tried to abort you not once, not twice, but 3 times. And she ended up raising you. So tell us the story of, obviously you must have got to a certain age, when this story was told to you. First of all, how did you find out that your mother tried to abort you?
A lot of great questions there, Janet. Thank you. So at age 9, I had spent much of my childhood in the hospital being a very sick little girl. And I was always told that the doctors, my parents, nobody knew why I was so sick. And at age 9, my grandmother, so my mom's mom, finally comes in and tells me that she's sorry that we've led you astray. We understand you're a bright young lady. You're going to read this on your medical record. And we want you to know that the reason you're so sick and you're having these grand mal seizures, terrible fevers, your skin is breaking open and bleeding, you have problems with your digestive tract and your endocrine tract and every tract you can imagine, is because your mother tried 3 times to abort you. And her phrase was, she tried to burn you out with the saline. The problem was I was very sick at age 9, and I was 9. I didn't understand what that meant. So I kind of filed that away for later, Janet. But it was age 9 when I finally heard those words. And as you can imagine, as a teenager growing up with friends who are contemplating and some of them having abortions and hearing about it, it's very triggering. It's very upsetting. And it took me a long time before I really came to forgive my mom and have peace with that and start to heal.
At what point did you get to the point where obviously your grandmother knew a lot, and what we're saying is, brothers and sisters, you have to understand what a saline abortion is, all right? They inject the saline through the abdomen of the mother, inject it into the baby's there floating in the uterine sac, having a good old time for itself. And the saline solution is like poison to that unborn child. It's poison. I've seen, unfortunately, aborted babies that have died from a saline abortion. And their skin is usually black and burnt. And it's horrific because they're actually being burnt to death and choking to death on the saline. So, I mean, Robin, it's a miraculous thing that your mom tried to do this to you, not once, not twice, but 3 times.
3 times, Janet. Yeah.
Tell us about then what you were told about your birth, because like on the 3rd attempt to kill you, basically, what happened?
By then, my dad was very much active in the picture. I don't have the normal family that you would think of. My parents were married. And so Dad wanted to do the honorable thing. He knew his wife was very sick, and the saline is not used as much anymore. It was a common 2nd and 3rd trimester abortive procedure back in the 70s when I was born. And so during that saline, when it's injected during that time, we know that you can inject something into the womb, but it's also going to seep into mom's body. And that's why they stopped doing these so much in America. So mom's body was also absorbing, just as mine was, all this toxic solution. She was getting very sick. So when I was born, my family lived in South Jersey. The big regional hospital was Methodist Hospital on Broad Street in Philadelphia, and mom was directed to go there to be induced after the third attempt when they found no signs of life. And they told her, it's kind of complicated. We want you to go there, which we know is amazing, right? Normally, they don't care what happens to the women. They don't send them to the hospital to get good care. They actually want to keep them out of there. So I'm not sure how that worked out, but I know it did. And dad told me this story many, many times as I was growing up, that he drove mom to the hospital. They induced labor. They did not have any expectation that I was going to be born alive. And when I was, there was no law, right? I mean, we don't have a national law that says when a baby is born alive after one or more abortion attempts, they need to be reported and cared for like any other baby. So there's this silence in the room as everybody's going, what do we do now? Dad pled for my life. Can we keep her? Can we keep her? And mom finally relented, looked over at the window ledge, and there in Philadelphia, the morning sunlight streamed in that window. She saw a little baby bird land on the window ledge, and she said, fine, name it Marabandan. I got a name and I got whisked off to go get medical care because I was having trouble breathing and, all the things. I was burned inside and out. I had a number of surgeries in my, my nose and my ears and, all inside my abdomen and a variety of different things. I had a variety of health problems for a number of years. But when I was born, I was struggling for life. And it was only because my dad was in the room and pled for my life that I wasn't laid aside like many other abortion survivors on a cold steel table, just gasping for breath and trying to live. I wasn't put in medical waste like so many other abortion survivors and just set aside to die. Most abortion survivors don't make it. I'm very
And
grateful.
it's ironic, Robin, even with the election we're currently in the midst of,
Mhm,
uh, Kamala Harris voted against when she was in the US Senate. They were
mhm.
trying to pass that bill that says if a baby is born alive in an abortion, it should be given medical care now because the baby's born alive. It's a citizen. There's a baby. She
Yep,
voted against that. So that
absolutely.
she would have been, in her opinion, giving you your death sentence, saying, "Oh no, that mother wanted to abort that baby. Let that baby die." I mean, can you imagine what does that take for a person, any medical person, be standing in a room and watching an infant gasping for breath and then setting it aside? I mean, it's just unconscionable that they do that, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. My heart breaks for the nurses and the medical techs and even the clinic workers in the abortion clinics. My heart breaks for them that they have to deal with that. I've shared my story all over the place, Janet, and I've had nurses come up to me afterwards just shaking in trauma. And they're going, I've delivered an abortion survivor just like you. And this is what happened. And they'll tell me their story, that little baby shaking and crying on the counter. And the nurse is just traumatized, going, I want to save you, but I'm under doctor's orders. And that breaks my heart. We're in a place in a time where that's about to be the law of the land in every single state. And we've been fighting to have born alive bills nationwide, but we're about to go backwards if Kamala Harris gets into the White House.
Here's your story now, and obviously your dad was filling you in. At what point did you have that conversation with your mom to say, when you two spoke about the fact that she tried to kill you 3 times? I mean, when did you kind of get that conversation going? How old were you? And how did you get to a point where did you have some sort of healing that happened?
I got a lot of healing when I was pregnant for my oldest daughter, who's now made me a grandmother. And I was moved by the Holy Spirit to call my mom and forgive her. And I just told her, I don't agree with what you've done. I don't know why you've made the choices that you have, but I forgive you. You don't owe me anything. And the Lord was so gracious. There was so much peace after that on my end. Unfortunately, Janet, I can tell you she never forgave herself. and she passed away a couple of years ago, and she just never really forgave herself. She didn't want to talk about it. So the dots in my story were kind of connected by my dad, my grandparents, the lady who was my mom's best friend during those years, and other family friends, and just trying to put the pieces together. They don't have to tell abortion survivors what has happened. There are abortion survivors who don't even know when their birthday is. So I'm very blessed. I at least know when my birthday is, but I don't know exactly when I was born gestationally. We know that saline was only used in second and third trimester, so it was definitely a later term abortion. We know that, I had to have been at least, I would say, 20 some odd, maybe 24, 25 weeks to at least have lived. I was born in 1974. And so, the technology that we have is much more advanced today. So I would assume I was later than that. So these are very late term abortion attempts on my life. And that just tells me late term abortions happen. The lie that late term abortions aren't being performed, my life proves that that's not true.
Robin, in your case, your mother, before she even had that first saline abortion, for whatever the reason was, basically you were a healthy baby. She was a healthy mother carrying you. And did they ever tell you what were the circumstances that got her to the place to say, I don't want to have this baby anymore? Because now she's at least into her second trimester when she's saying, oh, I got to get this baby out of here. Did she ever divulge that to you or your grandfather or somebody?
The information that I do have is kind of spotty. I know she had some mental illnesses. She was self-medicating with a lot of alcohol. And I know she really just didn't want to be bothered. I mean, she had a career. She was very much a career woman. She ran the business department at a high school and just didn't want life to change. She just, nope, don't want to connect with a baby, don't want to raise a child. And I mean, she looked like happily married. She and my dad divorced when I was little because their value systems were just very different. And so marriage didn't last very long, but she had what looked like would have been a great family home. She and dad both had great careers, so it wasn't a financial issue. It wasn't, certainly wasn't a health of the mother or health of the baby issue. It was just she didn't want to be bothered. And the fact is that happens way more than we hear about.
And it's sad to say, but now let's fast forward here now because you're involved in the Montanans for Life over in Montana. You have a ballot initiative to make abortion in your constitution for 9 months of pregnancy. So you take this very personally because you're saying, yeah, now they want to put it in our state constitution so that my life's not worth living. Babies like that were like I was, healthy baby, healthy mom, you can kill them. So tell us how you feel about Montana's ballot initiative.
It's very deceptive. And the way it's written, what comes to me is that it's a wolf in sheep's clothing, Janet. They come out and want you to believe that it's for the rights of the woman and, to help with healthcare, which we know abortion kills, healthcare heals. So that's a lie. There's just so many lies wrapped up in Montana's ballot initiative and all the states that are facing this. These are not written clearly so that people understand what they are. And yes, I take it very seriously. Those babies deserve to live. The moms deserve to know the truth. They need to have informed consent. When women go in to have an abortion, nobody tells them their baby may live. Nobody tells them what horrible pain they're going to go through. No one tells them how incredibly messed up their physical body and their emotional state is going to be afterwards. And no one tells them about the increased breast cancer risk and all those sorts of things. I would love to see informed consent instead of this deceptive batch of lies shoved down everybody's throat, where we're going to have, taxpayer funded abortion up till and including the moment of birth. These are healthy babies that deserve to live. And Montanans in every state that is facing this, they deserve to hear the truth, that this is too extreme. This is just off the rails, that it will take away every safeguard for every mom, every baby. Dads will lose their children. Parents will lose their rights. The way Montanans' ballot initiative is written, if a child, a minor, goes to have an abortion, the parents will not have the right to know what's going on, to be informed, or to be in any way, shape, or form a decision maker. And their child could have a botched abortion and end up with an abortion survivor as a grandchild, and they would never know. Their minor daughter may go for an abortion and have the abortion botched, and she could be killed or maimed, and the parents don't even have the right to know. And this is all on taxpayer dollars. Taxpayers don't want to pay for this.
Okay, so just now in closing, just tell us, what's the ballot number? Tell us, a website they can go to. If they know someone in Montana, they can point them to, so they can sound the alarm.
Our website, Janet, is For Montana Families. That's FOR, Montana Families. And we urge you to vote no on CI 128. That's Montana's ballot initiative. Vote no. It's too extreme for Montana.
Well, thank you, Robin. God bless you for the courage you have to tell your story and to really get people fired up to say, Montana is not going to do this. So thanks for joining me today. And we're going to pray and spread the word to vote no. Thanks and God bless. Well, brothers and sisters, thank you for joining us today. And remember, there's going to be some abortions only you can stop, and therefore some lives only you can save. Join us again next time. Thank you, and God bless.